Welcome to Battle Abbey. You're now standing in the grounds of the monastery first built on the orders of William of Normandy, William the Conqueror, who established Battle Abbey to commemorate his great victory over King Harold of England in the year 1066. For it was here upon these gently sloping fields that the Battle of Hastings took place on the 14th of October that year. A battle in which two mighty armies fought for the crown of England. A battle which came to symbolize so many changes in English life, and from which several thousand men were destined never to return.
I, Aelfric of Wessex, fought and died upon this field of battle, fighting for King Harold against his William, Duke of Normandy. I did not see my final enemy, the Norman knight who slew me with his sword upon that fateful day.
Yes, it was I, Henri d'Evreux, who slew Aelfric, and many more besides. He was in truth no match for me, being to my mind much more a farmer than a warrior. Whilst I and my brothers were long trained in the arts of war and horsemanship, since but small boys upon our uncle's lands.
He calls me but a farmer, eh? 'Tis true enough. Our English ways were largely set within a woodland world. As Thane of Essendon, I held my forest land some 20 years until the summons came to arm my men and serve the new crowned king. I left my farms and set out on ancient Roman roads.
I had no broad lands to leave, no wife or family, farm or crops to tend. I lived in hope of war. And when word came that William sought to claim his English throne from that usurper Harold Godwinson, my first thought was to secure new horses, full new chain armor, and a lance. Within the English conquest, I could see my future might be made. My prize, a rich estate or two within a land a dozen times the size of Normandy. And then in time, perhaps, a wealthy wife, a family, cooks, priests, musicians, poets, and the rest.
Our quarrel thus began. Within the old King Edward's reign, when it was said the Confessor named Duke William as his rightful heir through family links of old. We Wessex men, we voted for our kings. And when King Edward died, Harold took the throne, and in doing so, some say he broke his promise to Duke William, but we nobles backed his cause. For Harold and our kingdom faced great peril from the northern lands, where Harold Hardrada, King of Norway, now emerged to press his claim upon the English throne.
Intrigue, conspiracy, and all the rest. Within the heavens of that year appeared a hairy star, a comet trailing mischief in its wake. For William, Duke of Normandy, Hardrada's struggle proved a breathing space. Then foul inclement winds of further weight as word proceeded on his mighty fleet. On shore, our armies mustered and began to fret, a motley force of Normans, Bretons, Franks, and soldiers from more distant lands, all drawn to serve him for the spoils of war.
It was late summer when the Earl brought news. Hardrada's army was on land and moving south to York. Word came from London of the call to arms. We hurried north and slaughtered the invaders all at Stamford Bridge. We took such weapons as might serve our cause and left their bodies and their bones in piles to rot.
At last, in late September, sea winds turned our way, and 7,000 men with horses, arms, and all the needs of war, we left Saint-Valery to beach at Pevensey. By nightfall, all but 2 ships were ashore, and making strong our foothold on the English coast, next day we moved to Hastings, there to dig in before the march on London was begun.
We billeted in York for all this time, and then as news of Pevensey came north, we turned, marched, rode with Harold down to face the invading Normans. his chosen Erskine regiment, such nobles as we were, full 40 miles a day we raced. From London, we sent forth for troops, then pressed on south, alighting on this ridge above the village known as Senlac. Through here, King Harold said, Duke William must ride north. We'd trap the Norman as we trap the Norse.
Poor Harold. Little did he know that in Duke William he now faced a foe whose fighting skills were more than equal to his own. Before the king could gather all his men, we moved ahead to foil him in his plan. Yet, as the 14th dawned, it's true that Harold and his Saxons held the higher ground, and as we moved to face his close-meshed wall of shields, we dare not charge directly, fearing we'd be lost. So William bade his archers start the fight about the hour of 9.
We looked down at the Normans from above. Our Hurskar ranks held close before their ragged line of Bretons, Normans, Franks from east to west. Behind his archers, infantry, and then the mounted knights, restrained, they dare not move against our mighty axes. Some wore full chainmail against our lighter dress, but they left their men on foot chiefly to fight the day. And thus the battle raged most evenly at first. We fought the Normans hard, just as we fought the Norse. Then through the hail of blows there came a cry that William now was dead. His Breton lines gave way. Victory is once more ours, we thought. In truth, it almost could have been, but for the ceaseless arrows and an ill-judged charge.
William was dead? The shock ran through our ranks until with helmet off he proved the rumors false. So now, to break the stubborn English line, he tried an older trick, one long perfected in the Frankish wars. He'd make as if in flight and run away. As he rode south, some English left the ridge, broke ranks to chase the fleeing Bretons back to Pevensey, but found instead they'd sprung a trap of steel.
In this one move we lost the day, and England lost the king. Shouting of victory now, we charged, but ran headfirst into an arrow wall. Arrows that screamed and whistled in volleys through the air. Arrows that smashed through the thickest skull and pierced our limbs to break the very bones. My oldest kinsmen, they fell first. Worn out from marching hard, they could not face a further fight. With sword and club, we hacked out our retreat, all afternoon to vainly gain the ground we'd thrown away. 2 hours or more we fought in ragged bands until the final arrows won the day. Thus broken up, now came the Norman knights, full tilt with swords and lances to our chest. I raised my shield, was hit, knocked 10 feet back and trampled underfoot. Before I fell, I saw King Harold slain, the victim of an arrow from the sky. The hairy star of spring had claimed its own, and in the mud of battle did I die.
All day we charged impatiently. Now came our turn to fight. We sat upon the straggled ranks, full many now in flight, as if upon the hunting field a road, now close, now far apart. Such sport of war we had this long day, and in this mood was Harold's body hacked to pieces and carried back to William. In such bloody ways did William gain his crown. For services to William on that day were given me the lands of Alfric, Thane of Athendun. In time, I took his daughter for my wife. William, now the conqueror, was crowned king, but soon returned to live in Normandy. Across all England now we Normans reign. Our castles, speech and fashions now hold sway. Of Harold's Saxon kingdom little now remains. I, Henri d'Evreux, played my part that day, where Battle Abbey stands serene, atoned for the fray.